So, you're thinking of trying New World, huh? Maybe you've heard mixed things about it, that the launch has been really bad. Don't worry, friend, I'm here to tell you the truth, to show you what it's really like to play New World. Yeah, this is it. This is the game. There are nowhere near enough servers. Every single one is full with thousands of people trying to queue to play every server at any time of the day. This is not even at peak times. This footage is me at 12 PM on a Thursday when people are at school and at work. This is New World, the new MMORPG from Amazon Games. They did it, guys. They released a game. Well, kinda. I mean, look at the Steam reviews. Oh, God. It's funny. No brand new MMO ever seems to have a smooth launch. They're just so popular and sought after that New World is currently the most played game on Steam. That's a lot of people trying to play this game. Servers are very expensive and it costs a massive amount to create this type of infrastructure and then host them. So companies seem to always lowball on what they think they need to save the money, and then they add more when they see they need more. It makes sense, but it happens every time, and it leaves us, the players, the people who actually bought the game, well, sitting here in queues like clowns. So the game gets review bombed, and then it takes a long time to recover from that. It happens every time. It's unfortunate, but it's not unfair. We cannot play the game without hours of queue time. This is unacceptable. It's just the way it is. With that out of the way then, what about the game? Is it actually good when you can play it? Is it worth your time, or is it overhyped and we're just all desperate for any new MMO in the West? Should you wait to get it even if you're interested? I'm going to try and answer these questions, but these are ultimately my first impressions after the first few days, my honest thoughts about the main aspects of the game overall. There's some good, there's some bad. I'm not going to hold anything back. I want to start with the two strongest, best aspects of New World then, to begin on a positive note. First, wow, they knocked it out of the park with this game conceptually. The visuals are incredible. The island of the game itself is just stunning to look at. You're exploring this giant island filled with these beautiful views. There's giant lakes and blue waters. There's sky-high mountains to climb. The nature of the game is wonderful, from the many types of trees to the green grass, the orange and red and purple plants. The colors just pop. It's like an island paradise you just get to exist in, only to be improved by God. The top tier sound design, like wow. Words are not going to do this justice. When I'm out in that world, I can hear, say, distant sounds of someone chopping wood, or the crackling of a campfire, the reverberating echoes of my pickaxe hitting a boulder, which gets amplified when I'm up high or in a valley. I can't describe it fairly, just listen to this. Yes, I think this is incredible. Simply existing in this world is a joy. They've captured a feeling like no other. And then we have the life skills. It's very important to have a world that's nice to be in when you're talking about chopping wood for an hour. Genuinely, I could spend hours and hours gathering herbs, chopping wood, mining ore, or whatever in this game, and honestly I already have. It reminds me a lot of RuneScape skilling, you know, where you're working on lots of skills at once, unlocking new and higher level nodes to gather. You're coming back to town with a bag full of useful materials, and then you turn that into useful stuff. Potions for combat, better equipment to wear, higher grade tools for faster gathering. It's actually relevant what you make. And then you've got all your goods to sell on the market, which is completely player driven. The crafting itself isn't exactly unheard of or unique. Bring your materials to the crafting stations and then, you know, convert the goods, like tan the leather, extract the essences, smelt your ore, and then choose what you're going to make at, say, an anvil or another workstation. It's been done 100 times. They're not pushing the boat out here, but it doesn't really matter. The crafting just needs to work. It's the gathering that needs to feel good, and I think it really does. Like I said, very RuneScape. You could 100% spreadsheet MMO this game if you want to, where you maximize every minute to minute, making insane profit selling to other players, or maybe just being self-sufficient. The combination of the world and the life skilling is truly something special in this game, and I would argue that if you're interested in just that, it's worth experiencing the game just for that. But now we have to talk about other aspects that are nowhere near as strong. starting with the janky, clunky combat. In New World, you have a wide selection of weapons to use. You've got 3 magic types with the fire, ice, and healing. You've got big weapons like the spear, the hammer, and two-handed axe. There's lighter weapons like the sword and shield, hatchet, or rapier, or dedicated ranged weapons in the musket and the bow. Each weapon has a maximum of 3 abilities to have equipped and used in each fight, and you swap between them, so you have 6 abilities to use, 3 on each weapon. In my case, I'm running the two-handed axe and the life staff. This way, I can cleave and AoE my foes with my big axe, and then heal up after combat using my life staff, or if I need to, I can kite, range attack, and heal up in mid-fight. If I was doing, say, a more aggressive setup like hammer and bow, I'd start the fight by ranging my foe with the bow, spamming out the 3 abilities I have, and then swap to the hammer and jump in and use those 3 abilities. Then as my bow abilities come back, move away and kite again. Each weapon has a light and heavy attack. The light will be comboed into usually 3 attack combos, while the heavy is charged up and will break through a blocking enemy's guard. We have basic evasion and blocking at the cost of stamina and mana for your spellcasters. The lighter your equipment, the less protection, but the better your roll, that type of thing. And that's mostly it. That's the combat. There's some subtle stuff like weapon types dealing more or less damage to specific enemies, backstabs dealing bonus damage, the type of weight grade of your armor affecting your DPS output, but that's the basis of the combat. 2 weapons with 3 abilities on each that you swap between, and use filler combos while you dodge and wait for your abilities to come back. It feels good at times, it feels janky and repetitive at other times. I'm not sure how I feel about it overall. I mean, right now I've just got started after a few days, I'm enjoying it, but there's this sinking feeling that it's not really going to evolve much past the stage I'm at now. And that might be a major issue when I'm doing group PvE content. I guess time will tell. Speaking of weaker aspects of the game though, questing. It is as generic and repetitive as you could imagine. Go out there and kill me 5 boars and bring me the hides. Go to the village and loot 5 chests, please. Go to that cave and kill the one slightly stronger dude who has a name. The setting you're doing it in is great. The story, though, feels non-existent. Overall, there's a mystery involving the island's history and the strange corruption that is turning people into monsters. It's kind of cool. You're mostly just a no-name existing in the world, trying to survive, get stronger, and be useful to the town you're currently at. So while it's not impressing me with the story and questing, it isn't really trying to. It just gets to the point, sends you out into the world, and lets you play the game. So while it is generic, I still enjoy it. What's a little more unique is the faction aspect of the game. You basically got 3. There's the Marauders, who are land pirates that respect strength above all else. The Syndicate, who want to expose the truth. And the Covenant, who are basically a self-proclaimed holy order. Basically, it's the greens, the purples, and the yellows. And they're fighting for the land itself, cutting it up into territories and fueling PvP. You can't join a guild with people on another faction, so you need to make sure you choose the correct one with your friends, because you can't change more than once every like 4 months or so. The factions do give you quests to complete too, PvE ones to do generic questing in said area, or PvP ones to get into some combat with other players. You can flag yourself for PvP in town in return for bonus XP on everything you do, but of course it leaves you vulnerable to the gank squads. I just see them roaming around, basically farming solo or duo players with PvP on. It's just classic open world PvP system issues, but I don't know whether that's wrong or if they should change it or address it. I love open world PvP where you end up randomly fighting one guy and you measure your skill. Someone tries to gank you and you turn around and fight them and win. But I don't really enjoy, I don't know, being in a gank squad myself and farming lower levels who can't do anything but die. Or of course being the solo player getting ganked. You got stuff like the faction wars and big sieges that are going to be a big part of the game later on, but that's too early for me to have experienced just yet. While you're doing anything, questing, exploring, fighting, whatever, you're going to level up. Each time you do, that gives you a few points to put into your attributes like strength, dexterity, constitution, and so on. What's nice about the UI of this game is how clear it is. It shows you exactly what weapons will benefit from which stats. And they have this incredibly kind system for experimentation for the new players. If you put points into something and regret it later, you can just respec and do it again for free. If you want to try a weapon and you put your points into this or that ability, but then want to try the other abilities of that weapon, well, you can respec that for free too. So it's very kind to the new players who want to try out the many weapons and playstyles of the game to find out what it is they actually like and want to stick with. It's a good way to do it. There's a whole page to see all the weapons and what levels you are in each. You basically level a weapon by fighting enemies with it, and then you put your points from that weapon into its 2 talent trees. But that is the game in essence, those main aspects that I've experienced. What do I think overall? Do I think it's worth playing? Well, I mean, we have to talk about the server situation before we can say anything. It's pathetic. Like, you have to queue for hours at midday on my server in the EU, or way worse at peak times. I've heard the NA servers are just as bad, and Eastern players don't even have good options in the first place. They're suffering from high ping because they're playing on like Australia servers, because that's their best option. In this clip, you can see that I've received an error while queuing. It disconnected me from the queue. I spent like an hour queuing, and then it said, oh, sorry, there was an error, and put me to the back of the line. This should be a major wall for anyone considering the game. I strongly recommend you think about this before you buy the game. So let's pretend the server issues are resolved should you consider the game. I think if you're into a spreadsheet style live skill grind game, this is great. Skilling like BDO or RuneScape style. There's so much to work on and it feels really good. Because the economy is player driven, everything you can get on the market comes from a player who listed it. There's no other way to get it unless you find it or craft it yourself. It's very cool and very well done. But on the other hand, if you're a player who wants to get to endgame and engage in endgame PvP, endgame PvE, it's a bit more iffy. Unless there's been major updates since the recent beta before launch, there isn't a massive endgame like your typical MMO to find here. People just say there's not that much to it currently. To me, New World right now is a game about the journey and the grind and the progression. The combat is not going to massively change at endgame. The PvP is about large-scale battles and packs with ability spam. It really feels like the best of the game is the period where you're leveling, you're on your way, you're on your journey. You're trying the many aspects of the game and you're learning. Those that are basically bypassing that experience to rush to max level are basically rushing to run out of a reason to play. And I understand because many MMOs, you know, the game starts at the end game. You've got to basically finish the tutorial that was leveling and then you get to the real game at max level. That does not seem to be the case in New World. No matter what though, it is a new MMO for the West that's got a great world and feel to it. And while there are aspects that are jank or clunky or maybe unfinished, they're not in the way of a fun time. I heard a great take from the Lazy Peon about this. He compared it to the Elder Scrolls Online when it launched. It was really, really messy and did not do well. But you look back at it now and how far it's come. New World has arguably a better start than ESO did. All they need to do now is refine it, improve it, and add to it. The game is finally out the door. Now, they just have to work on it post-launch. So yeah, there's a good chance for New World in the future. But worst case, I think this game will make for a fun month of play at least. You know, once the server issues are fixed, because before then, it's barely playable. But there you have it, my first impressions on New World. Do let me know what you thought. Drop a comment if there's anything you want to add for those considering the game, or just, you know, how have you been finding the game yourself? I'm going to keep giving this game a chance. I'm going to keep leaning into its strongest aspects and follow it after things calm down. You know, I want to see how they go on to improve and update the game, and if they can make it into what it needs to be. They have every chance to make the game something special, but it's a question of if they can actually do it. Until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.